Well, hey everybody, welcome to Sam's Doing Stuff. What am I doing today? Well, I'm going to till the garden, get it ready for winter. So the first thing to do here, of course, is to get the tiller hooked up. And I use the Pat's Easy Chain system, so you kind of have to have your implements raised up on something so that you can raise your pats into place. Otherwise, it's too low. The implement will be too low and you won't be able to get under it. Tiller's pretty difficult implement to get hooked up. Just being honest with you. This is a King Kutter XB48 48-inch tiller. So, yeah, you just kind of accept it for what it is. And I only use it once in a while. So it's worth going through the trouble because the tiller is awesome. I still have my dust cover, believe it or not. I know a lot of people lose these, but I put this in the cup holder when I'm not using it. All right, so get the PTO hooked up here. Maybe. There we go. That was the easiest I've ever had it go on. That really wasn't too bad. All right, now to get the top link hooked up, I'm gonna have to actually lower this down so that this rocks forward. Sometimes you have to pull the tractor forward. Is it close enough? Close enough. All right, we're in business. I have decided that this year I'm going to use the entirety of this garden area. The idea last year was to have an area to walk around the outside and be able to pick stuff. I'm going to use the whole area, hopefully get a bigger yield for next season. And that means, you know, tilling it all up. That is absolutely beautiful. And let me tell you something, tilling is so enjoyable. It's going to be a lot more enjoyable once all the rocks are gone, but it's very satisfying to till. And you will hit a rock every once in a while. And if you do, the tiller might get stuck. And I will show you here what you're supposed to do, or what I do anyway. You want to, of course, disengage. Right here, you want to, you know, disengage your PTO as fast as possible. And then what I do is I switch it from the rear PTO to the mid PTO so that the rear PTO is loose and released. Sometimes that'll just knock the rock right out. It'll just loosen the PTO and the rock will fall out. But as you saw in the beginning of this, you set the tiller down when it's in the rear PTO or the mid PTO setting so that the rear PTO is disengaged. You can back up and push the tines backwards, and very often that will get that rock dislodged or whatever's obstructing it. Now, if it's really stuck in there, you're gonna have to get off the tractor, turn it off, and get a tool or something. Usually a piece of wood is a good thing, a nice piece of 2x4 to jam in there and pry on those things and get them to go backwards and get the obstruction out. But anyway, the rest of it is just an absolute joy. And like I say, I'll walk through here. Oh, I don't want to put my footprints in here. I'll walk through here and I'll pick out some rocks. And then the next step, all that vegetation and weeds and everything, of course, is going to grow back. It's going to try to. And I'm going to have to till it again, probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks to a month, something like that. Whenever it gets bad again, I'll come through and do the exact same thing. Like I said, it's fun to do. So we'll do it. All right, it's been a whole month, and I'm actually pretty impressed. There's not a whole lot of growth or regrowth or whatever, the weeds and stuff. The tilling did a pretty darn good job, but there's enough in there, enough little bit of growth that I want to get rid of it. We're going to till it one more time. You can see where stuff has just started to come up. Just a little bit of those weeds, the clover-like stuff over here. Little weed there. A little bit of growth in there. Yeah, hitting it one more time is going to be worth it. Do you suppose maybe someday I'll get all the rocks out? Yeah, the rocks are like bobbers. They just keep coming to the surface all the time. But this is good. This is really good. It's gonna be very easy to plant in the spring. But we're gonna do one more thing to let it sit all winter. Let's get some leaves. So if you get a lot of leaves like I do, a really good idea is to just put them on your garden. I'm doing that this year because last year was my first garden and I had a real problem with weeds coming up in the spring. And when you put leaves on your garden, they're going to help suppress those weeds. They're gonna help keep those weeds from coming up. So not only will they do that, but they're gonna add a lot of nutrients. And my leaves, because I mow them first, they're chopped up some and they've got grass in them. There's grass mixed in there. So that's gonna add a lot of nitrogen to the soil, and it's gonna, just help things out in the spring to give them a little kickstart. Of course, when the time comes, I'm going to get that XB48, that King Kutter XB48 is a fantastic rototiller. I can't tell, I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I bought that with my own money. I'm just really pleased with it. It really churns up the dirt, and if it gets caught on a rock or a root, first of all, roots up to about 1 inch, it'll just chew right through them. But if it does get stuck, that slip clutch on the PTO shaft does its job, and it lets it slip, and then you just take care of it like I showed you earlier. But anyway, I'm really pleased with that tiller, and I'll just till all these leaves in the spring, and it's gonna make some nice, rich soil, and hopefully I'll have a better yield next year than I did this year. And we'll see if it makes a difference next spring, but you're gonna have to subscribe and you're gonna have to follow along and hit those notification bells and hit the like buttons and all that kind of stuff, and follow me all winter. And of course, next spring, we'll see what the garden does when I'm doing more stuff. See you then.